Hi guys, and welcome to my Flosstube video number 5. Now last video I was showing you the stitching finishes that I've had since my third video all the way back in January. So this video I'd like to show you the projects that I worked on that were carried over from before that video in January, and also some, because I've had a lot of them, of the new starts that I've had since January. So here we go. I'm Hannah and this is Handmade. So when I was trying to revive my stitchy bug, which died a death just after the video in January, as I went into more detail last video, I went through my works in progress, my whips, and tried to work on any that even slightly caught my attention to see if I could kickstart my motivation, get back into gear with it. And one of the ones that I tried was this: How Does Your Garden Grow? How Does Your Garden Grow, even, by Papillon Creations. I think that's right, Papillon Creations. But as I found, and as I mentioned last video when I was talking about Hardanger, I seem to have gone completely off the boil with specialty stitch, or at least not cross stitch type designs. And this is unfortunately one of the projects that's suffered as a consequence, because no matter how hard I try, I just cannot make myself sit down. I mean, there's only... So the planter's a bit like this, and then that arch, another arch like that, to go. I'm almost done. Look, there's hardly any fabric left, and I just can't make myself sit down and finish it. I think that has something to do with the colour changes. Like every stitch, every flower is a different colour, so then you're always having to secure and start new threads. And unlike with cross stitch, where I've found the pin stitch to really help with that, so that I don't have to keep turning over my work, the problem with the specialty stitches is you can't hide the pin stitch necessarily behind your stitches, and then when you want to fasten it off, sometimes you've got to wait until there are more stitches in that area so that you have something on the back to fasten off to, because some of these stitches don't leave a lot of thread on the back, so there's nothing to anchor to. And I just not in the mood for dealing with it. I've mentioned before as well, I keep umming and ahhing about my colour choices. It's a thread. I'm always second guessing myself. Looking at it now, I kind of like them. But I'll probably change my mind again next time I come to look at this. But yeah, so not very much progress since last time. I think I got in maybe this, maybe not even all of it. But I did put a few stitches in. So another whip that I put some progress into is this. It's Seafarers Globe by Diaz. A design from a cross-stitch magazine, a UK cross-stitch magazine, some years ago, maybe even pushing 10 years ago now, that I've had in my stash for a long time. I don't remember the details, but if you're interested, leave me a comment and I'll try and put the information in the description box. I believe that it's also available as a download from Diaz's website. So go check that out if you are interested. She's actually got another design quite similar to this. It's an old world style map that, rather than Poseidon and the mermaids, it's based on, I think it's the elements, which is really interesting. I'm kind of tempted to stitch that one as well, although I'm not really sure what I'll do with two very similar style maps. And also, I mean, I haven't finished this one yet, so I probably shouldn't be planning to stitch the second one until this one's done. But so, I don't remember where I was up to last time, but I didn't have any of the land in. I know that for sure because I only put that in the last couple of weeks. But I must have done something else as well, probably some of the back stitching around maybe this mermaid. I'm not sure. You see I've got all sorts of straggly things and waist knots that I haven't yet secured the the back stitching, which will make it look a lot neater when I get around to doing that. There we go, so a bit of progress on that one, which is good, a bit closer to a finish. Makes me feel slightly less guilty about all the starts that are coming up. So next up, I've also put in some progress on Orange River by Zolotoe Runo. It's fitting because this is a piece to commemorate my trip to Tanzania, where I spent 6 weeks volunteering in some of the schools in the rural areas. 10 years ago now, so 10 years ago today, I was in Tanzania doing the volunteering. So, I mean, I've got absolutely no hopes of finishing it this year because, as you'll see, there's an awful lot still left to go. But it's really nice, and especially given the heat wave that we've been having in the UK recently, and all over Europe. Yeah, it's quite a fitting one to look at. So, here we go. There is my progress so far, if I can get far enough back to show everything. So I'm working on this. It's a quadriptych with 4 panels in total, and I've been working on this panel, the second one, and this here is the top right corner. So that was quite motivational to reach that point, because somebody think, oh, all I've got to do is just finish down there. Yeah, okay, there's just as much work left to do in this panel as I've already done, give or take. So there's still a while to go for that, and then there's still 2 more panels left, which I think are bigger than these. So yeah, there's a way still to go, but I think it's looking pretty good so far. I'm still not convinced by this yellow colour in the sky. I need to do something about that, maybe get in touch with them and see if I've got the wrong colour or something, because it doesn't look right. It doesn't look, it's too tan, it's not yellow enough. Yeah, it doesn't look quite right. There we go. And then the last project started before my last video that I put in some progress on since that video is Anchors the Galleon, which I absolutely adore for the colours. I even managed to get down to, this is a bit of the coastline that comes in, and there'll be all the water down here. Obviously there's the actual boat to go. I've done the majority of the sails, there's still some here. And then all of the sky is filled in with half stitch. I don't know, sunrise colours? It's not sunrise. I've got the packet. So here we go. This is what the finished design will look like. So yeah, there's still a lot left to go. I mean, look at all that backstitch and the rigging. There's cute little seagulls and things that have to go in, and all those waves are going to look amazing when they're done. But yeah, but I think partly because it's on Ada, and partly because I don't enjoy half stitch as much as cross stitch, even though it goes quicker. So not expecting that to be finished anytime soon, but glad to have put a bit more progress into it. So now we're into new starts since since the video in January, video number 3. As you can see, there weren't many projects that I'd started from before then that I actually put much work into and didn't finish. So I suppose that's not so bad as it sounds, because I did put quite a bit of work into some of them and managed to get them finished, which you'll have seen last video. So it's not too shocking, the number of starts that I've had. Cat again. Okay. So in February, on the 18th of February, I started this design, the cover design of the cross stitch Myth and Magic book by David and Charles, yeah. This is a design called Merlin by Diaz. There's a bit of a pattern. I seem to be really loving her designs at the minute and wanting to stitch them. So I'm stitching him. This is how far I got. I'm stitching him on 28 count Zweigart Brittany in navy blue. A piece that I had a massive cut of. I don't really know why I had such a big cut, but yeah, it's getting good use now. There's a couple of projects that I've started that have gone onto this fabric. The kind of sad thing, I mean, this book, I've had this book a long time. I had it when I was in university, so again, getting 10 years or so. And at that time when it was charted, it was charted for the DMC satin threads, the rayon, shiny, glossy, fake silk threads. And so there's a lot of those in this chartedness, which might have been quite fun to have a go with. I mean, I know people say that they're horrendous to stitch with. I have stitched with them, but not cross stitch. I've done sort of pin embroidery Christmas cards with those threads, so I can see how they might be a bit of a nightmare, but it might have been fun to have a go. But I mean, I don't have a choice because they're not produced anymore, at least not the same range of colours that were produced when this was designed. So yeah, I've just gone for the plain DMC cottons. I don't even think there's any metallic in here. Maybe I should have thought about putting some blending filament in or something if I wanted to give it a bit of sheen and sparkle, but well, I've kind of missed the chance now. So but there it is. Yeah, still a way to go. All of his gown, cloak, robes, there we go, wizard's robes. And the sort of pedestal that he's standing on, all the sort of fire effect around the orb he's holding. At the moment his sort of staff is looking a bit like a trident, so he's looking a bit like a Poseidon, but I think hopefully with some backstitch that might make it look a bit less like that. I've kind of gone off the boil with it though. I sort of started it, put a load of progress into it, and then haven't picked it up since February probably. So yeah, I'll probably come back to it sometime, but he's not high on my list. I guess I kind of felt that because I'd had the book in my possession for so long and I was looking for things to start, that I probably ought to get him done. And at the end of March I was looking for some starts that were going to be quick stitches, and I think I have a habit of underestimating how much work goes into a project. Yeah, the quick stitches aren't really quick stitches because quick stitches aren't my thing. I don't pick ones that don't have lots of detail in them. But of the options that I had, this was probably one of the quicker choices. And this is Nora Corbett's Fern, the first in her Flower Pixies series. The only one I've currently got stashed. I've got a thread hanging there. But I love the whole series. I can easily see myself just working my way through all of them, to be honest. Yeah, what a great concept. But here we go. I worked on her, so I started her the 24th of March. I worked on her, I got pretty far. I think I've pretty much finished this wing and then did sort of her bodice and then beginning of this wing. And then in the last couple of weeks, I've added in this part of her dress. And each time I pick her up and put some work into her, I realise just how much stitching is involved in these, even though they are smaller than Mirabilia. I mean, probably having my benchmark as a Mirabilia, I mean, most projects would then be quicker than a Mirabilia, so yeah, unrealistic expectations. But yeah, she's lovely. This is 32 count Zweigart Murano in ivory. Yeah, and then it's fat eighth, I think. So I got a fat quarter, cut it into 4, so I should be able to fit a couple of pixies into that cut, which is really nice. And as I say, they're really cute. Yeah, delightful. No idea what I'll do with her when I finish her, especially if I'm thinking about doing several in the series. I might have to do some sort of flat fold thing and then swap them out maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, even the things that I have finished that I know what I want to do with, which is generally framing, I haven't done anything with. So yeah, don't hold your breath. So this year was a pretty big birthday year for me. I turned 30, and so pretty early on in the year, my birthday's in June, pretty early on in the year, people started asking me about what I'd want and what I was going to do, and I mean, the answers were pretty easy. It was cross-stitch stuff, so they ended up giving me money. But as I was thinking about what I wanted, I thought about the cross-stitch stuff that I'd been given for my birthday last year that I hadn't done anything with, and I thought if I was starting a lot of stuff, and if I was going to be starting even more for this year's birthday, I ought to get out and put some work into the gifts that I was given last year's birthday. And this project was one of them. It's a North Star by the Sweetheart Tree. And it's really sweet, really dainty, specialty stitches, overdyed threads, only a couple of colours really, mostly DMC, I think one overdyed thread and some pearl cotton. It's a cute design, and given that I really enjoyed stitching the Irish Blessing from theirs a couple of years ago, I was of the ones that I could see, because they're quite hard to get hold of in the UK that I found. So of the ones that I could see, I think I got it from the So and So website. This was the one that I preferred, and I started that on the 31st of March, and this is how far I got. I think this is 32 count Murano, I'm guessing antique white or cream or something of that ilk. Oh yes, no, 28 count Brittany in cream, because this handily fitted on the bit of fabric left over from Angel of the New Dawn, the Mirabilia finish, well, one of the Mirabilia finishes that I showed last video. So yeah, that was handy. So that's the fabric that this is on. But as you can see, and as I've already mentioned, I didn't get very far. I'm just really not in the mood for specialty stitch. And on top of that, I think I'd got a bit overwhelmed with green colours, because Fern, which I'd put some work into just before that, was, you know, she's predominantly green. And then this is basically all blues and greens, and I think I was just getting a bit bored of those colours, and with the specialty stitches I just wasn't really into it. But it's really cute, it's really sweet. It'll be nice when it's finished. I'm just not feeling any particular urge to make that anytime soon. So still wanting to start new stuff, but not wanting to splash out, because I was going to be getting new stash for my birthday in June. At the beginning of April, the 1st of April, I decided to start this beautiful girl, Feather Fairy by Mirabilia. And I'd had her pattern in stash for some time. And this is a piece of DMC raw linen, 28 count, that I'd also got in stash, and had decided to completely written it off as a piece of fabric because it was stiff as a board. It was disgusting, worse than Witch Elt or Pinn. Yeah, just there was no way I was going to want to stitch in it. But given that I had it in stash, I decided to give it a go, just giving it a wash in the Orvis WA paste detergent that I've mentioned in a couple of videos now, to see if the problem was just that some of the sizing needed to be removed. And lo and behold, I mean, it's still a bit crunchy, but this stuff was like cardboard before, and now it actually has drape and it's tolerable. I mean, it's definitely, Zweigart is still my go-to, absolutely. But given that I was trying to work with what I'd got, this worked really well. And I have to say, even though she's got greens in her, these beautiful vibrant blues and are just lovely, were such a joy. And then you've got the pinks up there that were really nice. And even though these are greens, actually they're better than I expected, because on the chart, on the cover picture, which I've got here, those feathers actually look yellow, but they're not. They're these sort of, well, greens. I mean, olivey greens, but so it seems to be that the photography and printing process combined for these photos really struggled to accurately represent those colours in particular. When you see those colours, because this has happened in a couple of my charts now, those colours, which are the sort of the olive greens, they look yellow, and they're not at all. They're greens. And what I'm planning to do, I'm not overly keen on her wings, so I'm just going to leave them out, and she's going to be a beautiful lady in a big poofy skirt, which I'm really looking forward to, actually. Although she's not been the Mirabilia at the centre of my attention since I started her. I've had a couple others that have called to me more strongly. So I was at this point, which is the beginning of April? Yeah, the 6th of April, I was in the mood for some vibrant colours. I felt like I'd been in the sort of greens, so the sort of fern greens for Fern, and then the olive greens for Feather Fairy. I'd just been in those too long, and I wanted some real vibrant colours. And so my go-to for that is Leonid Afromov Designs by Zolotoe Runo. And I've got a couple of those kits, and this is the one I picked. This is Autumn Blues, which is a lovely little bridge over some stream design, which is actually part of a set of 3 designs that can be put together as a triptych, and I have the kits for all 3, obviously. So yeah, I decided that I wanted to start on this because there's just beautiful, gorgeous, vibrant colours in there. The threads just make me feel happy. But I'd not had much fun stitching Romantic Walk that I finished last year on the Ada. I mean, I don't mind Ada, but I do prefer even weave. So I decided to switch out the fabric, and when I'd bought the Fabric Flare printed, what was it, Cotton Sky fabric for Brilliant Mermaid, which you'll have seen previous video, I also just bought some plain white even weave to see what theirs is like, and decided for the coverage that 16 count hadn't quite been to my tastes on the Ada for Romantic Walk, to try 36 count over 2, so 18 count equivalent, because these kits use Madeira threads and I think they're a bit thinner than there's DMCs, and they don't give you any numbers or anything, so you can't swap out the threads easily. Not that I'm sure that the conversion would really work that well. You know, it'd be quite a lot of work to put together. So here it is. This is how I got on. I think this is 2 rows, 2 10 by so 20 stitches high, I think, which was good. I really enjoyed the colours, but the 36 count just proved to be a bit much for my eyes. I just, at this point, I think, with sort of how things going on, I was just so tired that I was really struggling to actually look at the fabric and stitch when it was just that bit smaller. I don't know, now it's kind of put me off a tiny bit, but I think now if I picked it up it would be a lot easier because things are getting a bit better. But I don't know, yeah, I've got so many other things that I've got really carried away with Mirabilia's stitching, that I'm just going to park this for a bit and then see how I feel in a little while. But it's going to be gorgeous when it's done. It's definitely not consigned to that I'll probably never finish that ever pile. It's just yeah, I've got to figure a few things out. Maybe I need to get some magnification or something sorted. I do have a stitching light, but I don't use magnification by default, so I might have to get that figured out before I can go mad, you know, pedal to the metal on this one. So on the same day that I started Autumn Blues, I was obviously in the mood to just start all the things. I'm guessing it was a weekend. I started Maria van Scharrenburg's Night. This is I've got the kits. I've got the kits for both. There's a day and a night. I've got the kits for both of them, but I also bought this booklet. So it's available in both forms, the kits and just the booklet, which lists the DMCs and anchors if you preferred to stitch in anchor. And I just find it because the charts are printed on massive pages in the kits and they're in black and white. I've kind of got into really into colour charts. You can see a little bit there. With my stitching now, it's nice to have an idea, particularly if two symbols are similar in the same area. If you can see that the colours are also different, I find that really helpful. And I don't highlight or anything, so I don't have to worry about the fact that having colour behind can make it harder to see the fact that it's highlighted. So yeah, I should show you what I've got on. So this is how far I got here. I've got, if I bring up there it is. I've got this the wrong way around. There we go. That's better. So it's the top of her left wing. I'm not so good with my rights and lefts, but there we are. That's how far I've got, and it's interesting because I think I kind of stalled because again this was veering back into, I thought it was going to be more vibrant colours than it is. This is veering back into the territory of quite dull muted colours, and I just couldn't abide those at this point. But it was really lovely putting in. It's a mixture. It's all whole crosses with some backstitch, but they mix up whether you use one strand or two to give extra depth to the image. So this part outside of the moon, so she's got the moon behind her and she's almost sort of silhouetted against it. So outside of the moon, where her wings are darker, you're using two strands, and then in front of the moon, I can't write with that hand, in front of the moon, this area is all done in one strand. So it's the same colours, but you get that effect of the light shining through, the sort of translucency of the wings, which is really interesting, and it is enjoyable. I've been tempted several times to pick it up since. I've just been more tempted by other things, but it's been enjoyable. I've got her and I've got the day corresponding series to stitch also as a kit. So it's I think it's 27 count Linda that comes with the kits. It doesn't say, but I'm hazarding a guess, and it's in this sort of creamy off-white colour. So still on the hunt for quick stitches that had more vibrant colours, I decided to flick through some of the books that I have on my shelf, which I've been steadily adding to, and this project, not cross stitch, caught my eye. It's from the Donna Kula Encyclopedia of Needlework, and it's this, if I can find it. Lotus Blossom Kimono by Barbara Baatz. Now this is actually designed, it's by Bargello or Florentine stitch, and it's designed for canvas with crewel wool. I think it calls for Patanayan Persian wool, which I've never heard of. And I don't really have any canvas. I definitely don't have any black canvas, and I don't have any tapestry wools, and I didn't want to go out and purchase any. So I did a conversion to DMC on some of that black Linda left over from the Butterfly Fairies finish from last video. And I've got pretty far. This would be a really quick finish, but I seem to have misplaced one of the colours. So I need to get in the mood to do some more Bargello and just whip this out and find that colour, or at least confirm that it is missing, and just buy a new skein, because it's like, what, £1? Not even that. So just to get it done and get it off my list. But it's really cute, really nice vibrant colours, a bit of a kitsch retro colour scheme, but yeah, I don't know why I haven't finished it. Now we're getting on to some of that aforementioned birthday stashing and starting, and I did go a little bit crazy, and I also very naughtily started a bit before my birthday because I just couldn't resist. Oops. But anyway, so I don't remember where I'd seen this chart first of all, and I think she's adorable, but I have ummed and ahed a little bit about her because she is quite cutesy. But here we go, let me show you what I'm talking about. This is Mermaid Heaven by Pinn Stitch. And you're going to ask me where I found the chart for her. And I got her from a shop in Singapore online. And I can't think... Cross Stitch Joy, there we go. I couldn't think off the top of my head what it was called. I'm pretty sure that's right, but I'll try and put the details in the description if you're interested, because I've only found the one place, that one shop, that would ship to the UK that I could read. So yeah, Pinn Stitch. I'm not sure if they're even still producing anymore. Yeah, don't know. Because they do have a website with lots of designs on, but I can't remember. I had a look, but I didn't seem to be able to... Oh, I think you can't order direct as a customer. I think you have to order as a retailer or something. I'm not sure. Or you can only get it as a kit. Maybe that was it. I don't remember. But anyway, Mermaid Heaven. So here we are. So again, using some fabric that I've got in stash. This is 27 count Linda in marble, I believe. I stitched her face, and she is pretty gorgeous. I mean, that's all just full crosses. There's not even any back stitch, I don't think, apart from to outline the scales in her fins. Oh, and the eyes on the little baby girl mermaid. But yeah, it's apparently, so if I read it from the back, the information, it's Mermaid Heaven is one of a masterpiece series that reflects the timeless elegance created by Siphon B, Pinn's chief designer. She created this for Mother's Day 2000 to express the deepest love and relationship between mother and child through the portrait of a beautiful mermaid and her lovely daughter. There's much more blurb on the back. I do really like her. It is a bit cutesy, so I don't know, I did and ah for quite a while. I mean, probably, I think it's the baby. Probably if I could get rid of the baby, I'd be happier. But then it is, I mean, that's the whole sentiment behind the design. So I don't know, I'm just going to stitch it and then see how I feel. And if in the end it is too cutesy, then I'm sure I can think of someone to give it to. But there's just something about it that kept bringing me back to it. So I think I was right, you know, there's something there calling to me. And her face so far is gorgeous. So, yeah, happy with that. Next up is another hard to get one, sorry, which I saw on eBay, and it's a kit, an old Design Works kit called Sea Nymph. It's this beautiful ballerina, sort of leaping out of the waves. I don't know ballet terminology, so I don't. Is that an arabesque? I don't know. It's a design by Maggie Rowe. I'm not sure exactly what the date is, but you know, it's quite a rare find, I think. Looking for it now, looking for other pictures, and it came with. I mean, I was just looking for the chart, but I managed to come across the kit, and it comes with what I'm guessing is Rustico Ada. And so the chart provides DMC colour codes for all the symbols, but given that I had the kit, I just decided to use the threads provided. But then I came across a stumbling block. So I started in the corner, and some of the colours weren't looking quite like on the picture, and I just thought, oh well, you know, that happens. And then I decided that the background was a bit boring without having her in the design. I needed to move across and work on her, and then I wouldn't mind filling in the background if I could enjoy seeing the background come together around her. So I moved over to her hand and stitched the paler colour of the flesh and got into her hair and whatever. And then I decided to put the darker flesh tone in, and it's very, very pink. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. If you contrast it with the cover picture, they're much more the fleshy tones, the 948s and the 950s that you'd expect, but you can see them there on the thread card that I've put together. It didn't come pre-sorted, that's how vintage the kit is. They're really not, the 948's close, but the 950 is really very pink. So, I mean, assuming I didn't make an error sorting the threads, but everything else seemed to tally up with the descriptions of the colours. So I've kind of stalled on this because I've got to make a decision as to whether I'm going to just rip out the flesh tones and redo those in DMC, or whether I'm going to rip out everything and just ignore the kit threads and do it all from my DMC stash. And if I'm going to do that, do I want to carry on working on the Ada, or do I want to swap that for an even weave? But this Ada is actually, it's nice and soft, so I've been able to do the pin stitch with this, so that's not so bad. But yeah, it's kind of put a bit of a downer on it for me, which is really sad because I think it's a lovely design. One of the things I am thinking about though is that the back stitch is all, you know, it follows the outlines of the blocks. It's all very steppy rather than having any sort of smooth lines. So that would definitely be something that I'd want to change. I'd want to look at least around her flesh, her arms and her face. Look to smooth some of those lines out a bit. And also, depending on how the colours of the ballet shoes come out, I might want to just remove the ballet shoes and have that as just flesh, the whole thing as flesh tones, because I'm not so keen on the pink ballet shoes. Yeah, I really don't like it when this happens, because it just kind of puts a downer on the whole project. And probably if I just stopped dithering and made a decision and just ripped it all out, I'd feel a bit happier. But yeah, that's not my MO. My MO is to agonise over the decisions. So I'm going to let that sit for a while and come back to it at some point with a decision, hopefully, and go from there. Many moons ago, I subscribed to the Cross Stitch Magic magazine, which I know a couple of you also subscribe to. Ali is one in Australia. And it was only, well, I used to do, they came with free kits. I subscribed, I got all of the magazines, they're all under my bed. And they came with free kits, which I would stitch. But I have only in the past year or two stitched any of the other designs that came in the magazine. And so I decided, I looked through, decided it was about time that I actually stitched some of these things. I looked through to get an idea of a couple that I liked. And this is one of them, Porcelain Plate. It's got some birds in the middle in shades of red, which I thought was lovely because often you see plates like this more in the sort of Delft blue style. And I just so happened to have a piece of fabric in stash that was an appropriate colour, and I think this is 27 count Linda in light taupe, something like that. Taupe, never know how to say that word. So I put in a bit of a start. Enough to see some of the birds coming together, and I think it's going to be lovely. I was in a starting mood and got distracted by other things, and those other things have still precedence over this one. But it's really nice. I love stitching on Linda. It's just a few different shades of DMC. Shading's lovely. The outline is the back stitching is gonna make it absolutely pop. But another one I'm not really in a hurry for. I mean, I probably could have waited to start it, but I was obviously in the mood to do so. So as I've already said, I think this video, and definitely in video number 4, the last one, that 2018 has become the year of the Mirabilias for me. I've finished a couple already, and I've started a lot more. Now it's funny because I only stitched my first Mirabilia I think in 2016, maybe 2015. It was thanks to watching Flosstube. And when I looked through, there was only really one that struck my fancy then. Of course now, when I look through, I want to stitch flipping all of them. And I don't know if that's because I've enjoyed so much the ones that I have stitched, whether because as I've watched more Flosstube and got on Instagram, I've seen better pictures of the finished stitches, maybe because my tastes are changing, I don't know. But this next one that I started, which was another birthday stash, all of the above, I wasn't much of a fan of. The whole 4 of them, actually, or 5. This is Summer Queen. When I first saw it, I was like, yeah, alright. And I think it was because there's 4 of them, and I was like, well, they look pretty much the same, so why would you want to stitch 4 different ones? And possibly because the faces, there's something about the face that I'm not dead keen on. But, and also probably stitched on white. I think it, I don't know. But then I saw, well, first of all, Stitching Mummy finished her Royal Christmas, is that right? Oh gosh, I've got it wrong now. And that looked awesome. I really enjoyed watching her stitch that. And I don't know, I just, as I say, saw more photos of other people's finished. Oh, and then on Pinterest, I saw a mock-up where the fabric wasn't white, and I thought, hello, you're actually quite nice. Summer Queen is my favourite of the 4, so I thought, what the heck, I'm gonna go for it. And happily, in my stash, I had a piece of 28 count Zweigart Cashel in Dove Grey. That's what I'm looking for, Dove Grey. That I thought would look really nicely. It's enough to set off, because you're stitching it on white and there's all that white in there. Just no. So just set off the white nicely and make it stand out. And you know, I'm really glad I've put off the issue of the face and the hair, because I've got to think about that a bit more. But I am really glad I picked it now, because stitching it again, as I mentioned with the Feather Fairy, you begin to see that some of these colours, particularly in this, I don't know, wheat sheaf, is it? Don't know, I don't think it says. They're very different to what comes out on the photograph, because they're in that sort of olivey green range that the photography and the printing of the photographs onto the photo paper seems to really struggle with. So apart from the fact that she's coming out, a lot of the dress is a lot more washed out. I think they've done something to increase the contrast, or saturate the colours or something on this dress. So I was a little bit like, it's a bit more pale teal blue than I'd hoped for. But she's been really enjoyable to stitch. I don't mind the bit, I quite enjoy actually the big blocks of colour. It's interesting because there's different blends slightly in the skin to what I recall having stitched before for Mirabilias. I like the pops of the pink, that's really setting things off. And it's just good kind of, not quite mindless, because there is counting to do, but there's big areas and there's different colours areas that I can switch to. So if I stitch a big area of one colour and then I get bored of the colour, I can just switch to the next shade and build it up that way. So yeah, I've been really enjoying her. I'm hoping, I mean I did count and it should fit on this fat quarter of 28 count. I think she's probably going to take up every bit of space that she can. So she's going to be a big one. But that's just because I had 28 count in stash. And there's more gaps for beads than I was expecting, so that's going to look quite nice. And I'm looking forward to as well, I see that there's like swoops of beads that are just strings attached at the ends. I think there's certainly not charted all the way along, so that's a nice touch that I haven't done in a Mirabilia before. So yeah, I started that right at the end of May, a bit early for my birthday, and I've put in several chunks of work on it since, and really enjoying that. Have you ever started a project and just got completely obsessed with it, like just cannot put it down and stop stitching on it? Well, that's what happened to me with this next project, and again, it's part of my Mirabilia madness this year. Another birthday stash and start. And that is Shakespeare's Fairies. Now, I've seen this several times and kind of glossed over it. I'm like, yeah, that's cute. And I don't know what struck me about it this last time. Yeah, I don't know. But the stroke of genius, if I may say so myself, that I had with this is that I didn't go with that green fabric called for, what is it? Laurel. There's actually an awful lot of Mirabilia charts that seem to call for laurel. Quite a few mermaids, I think. No, didn't go for that. I decided to, again, look through my stash and see what I had. And went for this navy blue Brittany again. So the same stuff that I'm stitching Merlin on. And I just think it's so much better than the green. Probably because I prefer blues over greens anyway. But it seems much more like a nighttime scene. Then again, I suppose the green is supposed to be the nighttime forest, and this is obviously not. But yeah, I just really I think the blue works really well, offsets those lanterns beautifully and the dresses, and I couldn't stop when I started this. I just kept going and going and going and going and going and going and going. And I've got to the stage now, I mean, I had to stop because I've been waiting for the beads, and I've been waiting for the beads for, I don't know, a month or something. There is a bit of backstitching that I could have done, but while I was waiting, which I've kind of left. But finally, the remaining bead colour that I was waiting on arrived today in the post. So I'm so excited. This is hopefully going to be my next finish for this year, my next Mirabilia finish this year, and I've lost track of the total. Would that make it 3? I think it would be 3. 4. Angel of the New Dawn, Siren and the Shipwreck, Charlotte, and this. So that must be 4. I should just look at what I've written down. Yeah, 4. So that would be awesome to get that finished this year. There is a lot of beading to do, but I'm sure once I get started, again, I'll just get completely obsessed. So, I mean, this one's face is looking a little bit scary at the minute because it's missing the back stitching and the lips. So she looks a little bit like a ghoul. What's the painting, the Scream? She looks a little bit like that at the minute. But oh, yeah, really, 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 really like this. Can't wait to get it finished. So watch this space. As you see, a bit of a theme here, yet more birthday madness, yet more Mirabilia. I've decided to treat myself, especially with all the sort of hubbub around Mirabilia suddenly going out of print and all of that kind of madness, and then the recent madness about the re-releases and all that. I just decided to get ones that I liked and try and avoid that whole, oh no, it's gone out of print panic. But unfortunately, some of the ones that I liked had already suffered that fate and had for a long time. And I managed to find this one at a really reasonable, not much more expensive than just buying a standard new one price on eBay, which was awesome. It's perennial favourite, the Dreamer. Awesome. And there was a couple of others I think I got as well, but I haven't started yet. But I couldn't resist, and I started her. I had to get a new piece of fabric because she's a really long design. So I got some 32 count ivory Murano. Again, just a nice neutral. I didn't want to go for the desert sand. I just wanted something that, because there's going to be extra fabric, I got the whole, it's like a fat half, but in the whole width of the bolt, as opposed to the sort of more rectangular. So it's long and skinny, as opposed to the rectangular version. So the excess will be readily usable for other projects, or I can over dye it or whatever. Not that I've tried that yet. Yeah, so here we go. And I quickly realised that these older Mirabilias are a lot more involved than many of the newer ones that I've stitched. There are so many colours in this. Only 2 shades of beads, but all of the colours, and there's loads of blends, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 blends, like all of those colours of DMC. So she's beautiful, but I think I need to pace myself with her, because I've kind of picked, I'm not sure confetti heavy is the right word, but there's not been the same big blocks of colour that there have been in some of the other Mirabilias that I've really managed to gain a lot of momentum on and make good progress with. But yeah, I think she's going to be a stunner, just slow and steady. As you can see, like just by all of the bundles of thread hanging off it, these are just the different shades that are all involved in a small area. There's such a big lump because there's so many different shades just in that small spot. But the colours have come out a little bit different to what I was expecting. For example, it's not going to show very well, but the top of the arch, the sort of jewel that's in it, on the picture looks much more blue, and in real life is much more purple. So I'm going to be quite interested to see how that plays out as we go along. I mean, there's a lot of yellows in there that might be a bit different, and this cushion could be interesting to see. It's more green than it appears in the photo. This next start hardly even bears actually showing you, but given that I'm showing you everything, I'm just gonna chuck it in there. I was browsing the Artisy website because I'd spotted that they have a lot of Afromov pieces charted, gorgeous ones, including this one that's predominantly blue with the sailboats that I really love, and this one caught my eye. You're not going to be able to tell what it is from the meagre start that I've done, but this is Abstract London, I believe it's called. I'll put in a picture of what it should look like. And I went for this because I've had several people mention that the Hades, which are the black and whites, because they have many fewer shades, you can get on with them much quicker, make progress much quicker with those, because you're not dealing with the huge range of colours, you only got the monochromatics. So this is the monochromatics with the splashes of red, which I thought were really beautiful. It also happens that one of my students has up in the room that we do the tutoring in, has a print that, if it's not the same, it's by the same artist. It's almost identical up on their wall, and I admire it every time I walk past it. So yeah, it's going to be a while before it even looks like anything, though, at the rate I'm going. But there we are, a token start at least. Now, if someone was to ask how they could design a chart that would immediately capture my attention, it wouldn't be a bad bet to go for something that had a beautiful lady with very clever use of the negative space, because I've Lady in Black, the Design Works kit that I framed and fully finished and showed in the previous video, and that's exactly that. And the Butterfly Fairies that has the clever use of the negative space, or at least I've made it more clever by just not stitching the black on that, worked really well. And basically it seems as though this next start someone followed that exact recipe, and I just couldn't resist. So that's Lanarte's Women and Flowers from the Cross Stitch collection. Now I think it's from artwork by Lee Bogle called The Rose Garden. There's a little copyright notice on the back of the packaging there, and there's a whole range of designs in this series, so it seems, but this one's definitely the one that is my favourite. And it comes in this fancy presentation box, which is interesting. I don't think I've ever had a kit come in a presentation box before. Unfortunately, I got it in Ada. I don't know if it comes in even weave. I haven't seen it in even weave anywhere. But Lanarte tend to do their kits in even weave, so it's a real shame that it is in Ada, for me at least. But I'm making do. And I got it from artsanddesigns.com. They're an awesome shop. I use them a lot. Their Mirabilias are so reasonably priced, and they have free delivery. Definitely in the UK, of charts at least. I don't know about the rest of the world, but definitely check them out. They're becoming a go-to store for me. Like, ships so quickly. Really, really good. So anyway, Women of Flowers. This is as far as I got, and already it's just stunning. Like, oh, it's the design stands out so well. All of the black in the design is negative space, so you're just stitching any of the highlights in her hair, the skin and the flowers. So if I knuckle down with it, it should actually be a pretty quick stitch. I mean, it is, I don't know what the stitch count is, it doesn't say on here, 34 by 49 centimetres, so it's not small. I don't, you know me, I don't do small. But because there's a lot of black in there, that none of which needs to be stitched, this was, I don't know, an evening or two, probably two worth of progress, so it should come together really quickly, and I just love it. There's something for me about stitching on black or dark colours that really makes things pop, and yeah, I'm really excited for this. The only thing I'm slightly disappointed by is that I thought that the flowers were more purple, and they're coming out pretty pink, as you can see, and I'm not a massive pink girl, but even so, yeah, it's going to be gorgeous. I posted this start on Instagram, and it seems like a lot of you really enjoy her, and I can't say I blame you because I think she's wonderful too, hence why I'm stitching her. Now, she's from the range of John Clayton's Elegance by Heritage Crafts, and they've been on my radar for a long time, almost as long as I've been stitching. You'd see them featured in all the magazines. And they used to take out the adverts on the back pages of the magazines. I don't know if they still do that. But there was always just something about them that didn't quite, just not enough to tip me over the edge into the, oh my god, I must stitch that. Until they released this. I think this is released this year, perhaps. A really recent release. She's called Emily, and she's an absolute stunner. And she stitches up beautifully. It's not just on the photo. Look how realistic that face is. Oh my gosh. I just love her. I can't wait to put more progress into her. She's going to be another one that when I actually stop starting everything, which I think I have done now, and sit down and put in decent progress on several of these, then yeah, she's definitely going to be one at the top of the list. I'm just going to want to motor away with her because, oh gosh, she's gorgeous. Really, really, really lovely. I bought the kit with even weave. I don't know if it comes with Ada. I imagine it does. I think they're pretty good, Heritage Crafts, at giving you the options, which is great because it meant that I didn't have to swap out the fabric, buy the kit and swap out the fabric. I believe they're DMC threads. I've not checked. But yeah. Zweigart fabric. It says. Designed and produced by Heritage Crafts. I got this again from Arts and Designs, I think. It doesn't have the sticky label on it that the other one does. But I'm sure she's widely available. Arts and Designs do worldwide shipping, and she's probably on soandso.co.uk, and they do worldwide shipping as well. So if you're interested, go check her out. So we're getting to the end. There's only a couple more, and this is my last Mirabilia start, thus far. I think I need to finish a couple before I even think about touching any of the others that I've still got kitted up. Yeah, I really did go crazy for my birthday. And this one is another out of print one that I managed to get as a kit from Hawkins Hobbies, and it's Christmas Flourishes. So this was me nodding my head to Christmas in July, this start, although to be honest I would have started it whether it had been Christmas in July or not, because she's absolutely stunning. I think she's possibly got the most beautiful face on a Mirabilia. Yeah, there might be a couple more. I'd have to have a think about that, but her face is just amazing. And I saw someone had stitched this on Instagram, and I just, literally stop everything and go and look for where I can purchase this. So I was really happy to get it from Hawkins Hobbies. They do all the Mirabilia designs as kits, which is cool because it comes with quite a few beads and some metallics and some Rainbow Gallery threads. So it also, I got the kit with the fabric thinking that it would come with the fabric, the antique blue linen from Witch Help that's no longer in production. Sadly it didn't. It came with some Zweigart blue spruce linen. Now I've already got a massive cut of that, and I was umming and ahhing thinking it was maybe too dark for the design. So it just so happens that at the same time I bought another kit from Hawkins Hobbies that did come with a cut of antique blue. Unfortunately too small for this design, but I was able to compare that colour with fabric that I already had in stash and that I'd used in other projects, and found that 32 count Murano in blue grey was pretty close. So I went with that, and here you can see my star on her head. And again, this is continuing the trend of the earlier Mirabilias having seemingly a lot more intricate detail than the later day ones, at least that I've stitched. I mean, I haven't stitched them all, so what do I know? But yes, there's an awful lot of colour changes in there, as you can see from all the hanging threads, but she is looking lovely so far. Really, really, really enjoying her. Looking forward to trying out the Nordic gold threads when I get there. And it's nice to just have everything in the kit ready to go. I got the version without the DMC, I'm just pulling them from my stash. But yeah, it's a bit weird. I don't normally stitch Christmas, and to be honest, she doesn't feel that overtly Christmassy to me. So I mean, I suppose the holly berries and whatever, and the presents that she's got, but you can get away with it without it being really Christmassy. So I think her face is beautiful, so I'm going to stitch her. And I'm really excited because, again, I know from the picture I saw on Instagram that the colours on here aren't accurate to these colours. It's much more vibrant purples. It's like, I think this in the sort of swoops of her dress is 550, which is a really rich purple. So yeah, again, excited for that. But another one to take a bit slower and steadier because it is so intricate. I can't motor on with the big chunks of solid colour like I can with some of the others, like Summer Queen. And last but not least is this design. I really need to get off of eBay because I keep spotting things and buying them, and I probably shouldn't. But this was one that's obviously a cutout from an older magazine. I'm not sure which issue, but I have a search saved for anything Alphonse Mucha themed cross stitch, because I just absolutely love the Nouveau aesthetic, and all of the offshoots from it, like the sort of oriental, the geishas tie into that, and just all these beautiful ladies. It's all kind of spin-off from those. So when I saw this, which is Summer Beauty by Maria Diaz, from an issue of Cross Stitch Gold, I don't know, I think it's in the 20s, maybe 21, I'm not sure. I just fell in love. I think she's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, had to stitch her, had to start her. Now I did check, and I don't think she is available to download, to buy from Maria Diaz's website. So I don't know if there's any way to get her other than to get the back issue of the magazine, unfortunately. And there is a whole series. There's one, so this is the Spring Beauty. There's one for every season. So there are 4 of them. This spring one is definitely my favourite though. I'm not interested in the others, and I'm just going to leave off. So it's got Spring Beauty in French on here. I don't know why it needed to be in French. I'm just going to leave that off and bring the bottom border. So there's text just here, it says Spring Beauty. I'm going to leave that off and just bring the bottom border up to fill that space. So it doesn't look like much of a start, because I think I only worked on it like one day. I'm swapping out some of the metallics, the silver angle metallics in there. I've swapped them out for Krynic, something that I had from Stash. Don't even remember what the number is now, so that's going to be fun. And yeah, hopefully she'll come to, again, I think she's another one that I thought, yeah, she'll be a quick stitch because she's smaller, but actually there's a lot in her too. So I think that brings me to the end of all my starting madness. Luckily my birthday won't come around again for another year now, so I'll have some time to actually put in some work on some of these. My whip count is getting a bit ridiculous now. The couple of finishes that I had and showed in the previous video definitely helped, but yeah. I need to sort myself out. The shame of it is I've got other things that I've been collecting that I'm desperate to start too, but at the moment the startitis is kind of abated, and I'm gonna make progress on existing whips while the going is good. No doubt it will flare up again at some point and I'll just be adding to the count, but hey, what can you do? Just not enough time to stitch. So that's basically what I've been up to since January. Thank you for sticking with me over the 7-month break or whatever it's been. Thank you so much for watching, getting all the way to the end of this, which I'm sure by the time I put it all together is going to be a pretty long video. I hope you've enjoyed. If you've got any questions about where I've got any of the things that I've got or anything like that, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm trying to get back into the swing of posting on Instagram, so do check me out on there. I'm at Handmade, HANMAYDE. And I look forward to seeing you next time, which will hopefully be a lot sooner than the last time. Take care.